Welcome to a new edition of the Famous Interviews with Joe Dimino. On this episode, we talk with founder and CEO of the GroupConvert software, Kim Dang. As the founder and CEO of GroupConvert, she is trying to help those out there that have a disadvantage in the world of digital marketing. Kim went on to create her team of group launch legends that lead to group owners increasing their income to $50 to $100K a month by pitching their passions and profiting big on smaller audiences. There's a whole lot that goes into what she does and her story. It's fascinating. Enjoy this interview.
Hey, it's great to meet you. Thank you for taking a minute after the program today.
No problem.
First and foremost, I want to get into the last 3 years. We've been living through a pandemic, and it's operated in very different ways on all of us, from personal life to business life. So I'm curious how you survived that COVID time period now that the world's waking up, and how it's changed the way that you conduct business now.
Yeah, so actually during COVID, we exploded because the solution we offer is a way for people to earn income teaching what it is that they love. We just channel it into into a container, into an environment, a Facebook group. So we help clients, coaches, course creators, and agency owners go and monetize their audience using a group by converting one to many in a short period of time. So for us, it allowed, because of the pandemic, Zoom got really popular, and everyone was rushing online. And I tell this to my clients, I'm like, in the times of the gold rush, who are the people who win? The people who sell the picks and the shovels, the people who sell the tools. So during this time is the best time for them to get in because everyone's rushing online, trying to find a solution, and you are the solution holders. You're the ones holding the picks and the tools, the picks and the shovels. So yeah, we made millions over the pandemic, and I started my company before the pandemic hit, about a year before, and I've automated my company to a point where I was traveling. So actually, I remember it very well. When things were shutting down, it was in the air in March 2020, and I remember I was in Thailand for a whole month because I could travel and still check in with my team. And I just saw things getting shut down because Thailand is very close to China. And we got out like a week before they shut down the airport from Thailand to the U.S. So it was very close call. But I also remember thank goodness we have the business that we have, because it really doesn't, there isn't this detrimental effect to our business.
And I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of third graders at a career day at an elementary school. And one of the kids will ask you, what do you do for a living? How do you answer them?
Yeah, that has always been an interesting question because I own a wrecking yard in California. So I know e-com for over 7 years of my life. I know I own several software companies because I've been acquiring software companies for the past 3 years as cash flowing businesses. And then I also teach people how to make money online by monetizing their tribe using Facebook groups. So it really depends on who is talking to me and what their goal is. And a lot of times nowadays when they say, what do you do? I say, I help people figure out how to solve specific problems so that they can go in and monetize on those problems by providing a real solution. So it really depends on who I'm talking to. I don't have this elevator pitch as a general elevator pitch for everyone.
No, that makes sense. So I'm curious, when you were in the third grade, what was your dream? What did you want to be when you grew up?
When I was in the third grade, my parents were really strict immigrants, so they wanted me to become a doctor. So in my head, I thought I was just going to go and become a doctor. My brother became a neurologist, so he went the real route that they wanted. And I just went off into the desert and started a wrecking yard from scratch in California. So I was everything that they dreaded. They're like, what is she doing over there? But yeah, that's the route I went, and I really honestly wanted to become a doctor when I was young.
So let's go a little bit further into your childhood. Tell me a little bit about where you were born and raised, and how some of the seeds of you being an entrepreneur and being highly driven, how were those put into you to sprout into who you are today?
Yeah, I came from a background where my dad was imprisoned in the Vietnam War for 9 years, and my mom, she went through the Vietnam War, so she saw one of her sisters getting blown up in front of her by a mine. So I came from a very traumatic type of parents going through lots of trauma, and growing up we were really poor because my dad had to move to America with just a couple $100 because the communists won, so we couldn't stick around. And with that, growing up with that mentality and that kind of environment where my parents are like, we're poor, you got to make money, you got to figure this out, the world is a dangerous place, you can get, to this day, my mom is like, you can get dragged into the jungle. You know, it's such a real fear for her that life is difficult and you have to claw your way through it. So when they proposed that I become a doctor, I said, well, doctors are not survivalists for the most part. So I'm like, well, what type of career choice do I have? The only choice I have is to make my own path and to be my own boss, to survive. So it really sculpted a lot of my thought process growing up, and it really was anti what they want. You know, they want me to make money and get a house and just work and then retire. I remember in high school, and there was career counselors, and I just remember thinking, no way am I ever going to have a job. I'm never going to work for anyone because I won't be able to survive. I'll just have one person controlling my income. And I remember going online and typing how to make money online in high school. And that's when I stumbled upon eBay. And every day after I would go take my classes, I would call up factories that were in the U.S. to say, hey, can I drop ship your stuff? And I would just list all their items on eBay, and I would make like several $1,000s. It's super thin margins, but it enabled me to think of a life where I'm not dependent upon one source for my income. You know, it's like a bunch of buyers. So that expanded my mind, and that like formed my worldview in a way. Hopefully that answers your question. If you want me to get more specific, I can.
No. That's perfect. That's actually perfect. So in your life, who has consistently been a role model or kind of a hero for you?
A hero, my dad. He came to America, and he doesn't have as many resources as a lot of people. He didn't even speak English, so he had to survive in that environment. And I remember his work ethic was so strong and powerful. He would wake up early. He would be the last one at his he worked as a machinist for a tech company, and he just saved up everything. And even though he was only making at that time like $10 an hour, $11 an hour, I remember he managed to save up enough to take us from like a 1-bedroom apartment to a 2-bedroom to a house, because he was really frugal. He really, every single decision he makes, he really thinks about it. And so that crafted like our own discipline, my discipline and my brother's discipline. So my brother graduated with like no debt. He pays off his debt. He's now a doctor, so he's like hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. But for me, I worked hard. I paid off all my debts, and I'm able to manage my finances better because of that discipline. And my dad, although he isn't super rich, he created a rich life. Like he created an environment that we don't need excess. We don't need more than what we have, and we're happy, and we have each other. So my dad created that foundation for us.
Excellent. So if you could meet anybody alive on the planet right now and spend a little time with them, who would it be?
I'm already spending a lot of times with amazing entrepreneurs that in masterminds. Like I buy into societies and communities now, which are pretty pricey. They're like $40,000, $80,000 masterminds. So I am hanging around with a lot of interesting people, but probably Elon Musk is someone that I want to spend some time with. I probably wouldn't get like a crazy amount out of that. It's just more this, the way that these people think and how they make decisions is really interesting to me. Like thought frameworks, like Ray Dalio stuff, principles, that's really interesting to me. So I would spend time with people who think differently. And Elon Musk is one example of someone who thinks differently. I would spend time with.
Yeah. So what is it that ultimately motivates you throughout your day with all of the things that you do and that you are? What pulls you through the day?
I have an internal motivation to solve problems, and I feel like that's such a great challenge and great place to come from. So I love to be able to solve problems. For example, we just interviewed a client, and he said, hey, he enrolled with us last month, and he teaches people e-com. And we're like, well, you could pitch into a group, and you could do this. And he just trusted us, and within a month, he made $60,000 in like 5 days of pitching into his group. And he said, wow, now instead of helping out my mom, I can buy her a house. And I said, yeah. And he's like, instead of telling my wife, hey, honey, let's purchase this home, it's like, hey, honey, let's build this home from scratch exactly the way that we want it. Let's buy the land and we'll build the house. So I love what's motivating me is when I solve problems by creating a company that facilitates these solutions for clients. That gives me a lot of joy. And there's always like the next level of, income in terms of, all right, $1 million for a month, $1 million for a day. There's all those arbitrary, I think, goals. But I feel like we've already reached it with the hundreds of clients that we've served and went through our community and the thousands of subscribers that I have, that I feel like, all right, if there was nothing else, this is okay, and here's the next level, and let's solve this problem. So I love to be in this constant state of optimizing for like a life that's worthwhile to live. So that's where I'm at in terms of what motivates and drives me, because my parents are taken care of, my family's taken care of. I don't have any debt. It's now more like, okay, what's that next level, and am I okay? Like I'm constantly checking in with myself. Is this the life I want to live? Is this the level I want to be at? And a lot of times it is uncomfortable because growth lives in that space. For me, I call it the stretch. So I'm constantly living in a stretch. That's why in Miami, instead of like getting a regular place, I have a penthouse. Not because I want to go balls to the walls. It's because I want to live in that stretch. Like, what does that stretch feel like? And then pushing myself to speak more on stages. Okay, what does that stretch feel like? So it's all these stretches and experiences of life that makes it exciting, and and not feeling like this is not the life I want to live. Like trying to stay away from that place. So yeah.
Sense. Yeah. So, throughout our life we gain wisdom based on all the things that we do and we overcome and the successes. So if you were to have a dream tonight, you ran into a much younger version of yourself, and you could give that version of you a piece of advice based on the wisdom that you've gained in your life up to this point, what would you tell your younger version?
I would tell my younger version that don't tell yourself you have time. If you're like, hey, I have time, then you're really not truly going after what it is that you want. Because, a lot of the activities and events in my life led me to here, where I'm glad, to a lot of people it's very successful. But I remember thinking about, I would say I have time, not because I truly feel that I have time, but because of all of the words of other people telling me that I have time, I can take it slow, I don't need to do this, I don't need to do that, relax, and then me believing them. I would tell my younger self to not believe in a lot of the things people say, because they're just coming from a place of their own lives and imposing that on you. And because of that, I probably would have started my companies in high school, instead of waiting until I graduate from college, because my parents, like the stories they told me is, hey, we work hard, go to college, make us proud. And in my head, I'm like, oh, I have time, so I'm going to graduate college and then start stuff. And that was just ridiculous. I should have told myself, hey, don't listen to them. You don't have time. You can actually do it now, and you have the skills now. You can learn it from online. And so that's what I would tell my younger self. Don't let other people's stories convince you of this story that you tell yourself that's not true. Like, do it now. Start now. That's what I would say.
Yeah, for sure. So of all of the things that you've done in your life, what are you the proudest of?
I'm the proudest of keeping and maintaining my sanity while helping and craft out a team, and doing it while helping my family and having a good head on my shoulders. I really am proud of that. And being able to really, truly help people. I started selling stuff on eBay, online, on Amazon. I flew to China and I did importing. I would tour factories. And this was in my early 20s when I started. And I remember I'm like, oh, I'm just pushing products at the end of the day. And it felt very hollow and empty to just sell, millions of products. So when I switched over to truly helping people and having a connection with other human beings online and changing their lives, that's when everything changed. And I said, okay, this feels great. I love this. And I'm most proud of that. Even though it might not be millions of people now that I've influenced directly, I have helped so many people retire their husband, quit their job, get that life that they want. And even if it's just like 5 or 10 people, it feels like everything. It feels enormous. And it isn't 5 or 10. We've done hundreds of clients through our program. But that's what I'm most proud of, that I can be the facilitator to their success.
So everyone out there, Kim, has a perception of you, an idea of who they think you are, your family, your friends, your clients, colleagues. But ultimately you're in control. You live your life. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Yeah, my parents still don't know exactly what it is that I do. And a lot of people still don't know because they're worried about their lives and, what's going to put food on their table next week. Really not really paying attention to me all that much. But in terms of my own perception of myself, it is it's a person who wants to solve problems and can go for it without a lot of mental inhibitions that normally would plague a lot of people. Because I continuously put myself in situations where there's a new normal. Like I wanted to go rock climbing. So I just, instead of starting out with a gym, I got a friend who the first day we did rock climbing, I rock climbed 600 feet up a multi-pitch rock outside. So it's like, all right, that's my first experience. This is the new normal. People would normally just go slowly upwards, and this is my first day here. And then now I'm buying into societies where it's like, yeah, everyone here makes millions of dollars a year, and this is where we are, and let's share our books with each other. Let's figure it out. So it's like I see myself as a breathing human being who wants to facilitate these changes in the world and have the ability to go and do it, not because of more. It's not because of more. It's because of less. It's because I don't have as many inhibitions, because I put myself in situations where there's always this new normal, this next level that makes it feel good. So that's the perspective I have on myself. And also, I don't know how much this takes into account with I just realized, or I just started learning about Myers-Briggs like last month, and I am an INTJ. And an INTJ type of person is more analytical, more like methodical, and to me, and they care less about what people think. So I see myself as that type of character as well. And it creates this really cool reality for myself where I'm not delusional. INTJ is also very truthful. So I go about the world trusting more people. Doesn't mean I'm naive, but I'm just more trusting because I myself go and just tell people the truth. So your world is a reflection of the way in which you are. So I just assume the world gives me truth back. And so that's also helps me with peace of mind and navigating the world by trusting, and then also by following through and by empowering. And that's my view of myself so far. We shall see.
Excellent.
If that's
Yeah, that's excellent. Kim, thank you for opening up. And before we get out of the proverbial door here, can you let anybody know out there that's interested what's the best way to find out more about you?
Yeah, I send everyone to GroupConvert.com, and it is one of my tools. It lets you collect emails from Facebook groups in order for you to talk to your community, build your tribe, monetize from your tribe in a way that, you're solving real problems for them. You're not slimy, icky. And, if there's anything in this world that I would really help you do, it is for you to live a life where when you look back 10 years from now, you see thousands and thousands of your tribe members supporting you. So, we moved away from this tribe world into a more with the agricultural revolution of everything being, divided by fences and livestock and everything like that. So it's very much like I own this. However, I believe that for peace of mind at the end of your life, if you have thousands of people contributing not only to your income but to your to just support you in this life, then you're not going to be afraid of anything. You'll be kind of limitless. So if you want to step into more of that life where you're monetizing from teaching people what it is that you already know and you're an expert in that, then go to GroupConvert.com. It's GroupConvert, like you're converting a group of people, .com, and just sign up for a free trial or just sign up to the newsletter. Otherwise, you can find me everywhere under Kim Possible Dang. And yes, it's after that cartoon character, Kim Possible. But my name is Kim, and then my last name is Dang. Just that possible in the middle. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, just everywhere under that handle.
Excellent. Kim, this has been wonderful. Thank you for taking some time out to give us your story. Best of luck with everything.
Thank you, Neon. Have a great rest of your day, everyone.
Thanks for tuning in to another famous interview with Joe Dimino, where we cover the world of art, literature, business, spirituality, music, and more from around the globe. If you want to hear more interviews, visit the Famous Interviews with Joe Dimino channel on YouTube. You can also find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Thanks again for listening, and until next time.